So, Amiga Action, April 1995. I've had to break this into about 8 different episodes. So I got one episode on Turbo Tracks, Overdrive, Supercars, ATR, and the new one I found the other day, which is the best top-down racer of the lot, and micro. Okay, I can include Micro Machines now. I never played it on the Amiga back in the day, but there is an Amiga release. So anyway, so this restaurant here used to be Video Easy, but they didn't just rent movies. They rented the Sega Master System and the Sega Mega Drive when that came out. So my work money, my after school money, was being spent on hiring Micro Machines, and the New Zealand story. Being from New Zealand, I played it to death. Yeah. Then we're going to be doing the Spirit Legacy Zelda clone game. That's going to involve making my own Zelda clone game with a sprite and adding the music. And then we'll have a look at this game. I've played it for about 3 hours now, and yeah, it's nothing like Link to the Past. Then we're going to do the best. What is the best arcade port to the Amiga? Defender, Donkey Kong, Space Invaders, Pac-Man. Is Billy Mitchell going to be the greatest Amiga player of Pac-Man in the world? Shut up. Blues Brothers, maybe that's a movie review or something. Before we get to page 1, we've got Rise of the Robots, Cannon Fighter 2, Premier Manager, Top Gear 2, Aladdin, Lion King, Jungle Strike, Bass, and you can choose any 3 from only 49p each. How is that? I wouldn't worry about word worth and money matters. Yeah, I've never used any writing software on an Amiga apart from kind words. So my territory now is making music on the Amiga mostly, so this is my Robin hand. So for me it's Stereo Master, Amos Pro, importing music into a game via Amos. Music X, obviously I just bought the full package. Took a month to get here. Assembler, that's going to be to do with the July 1992 episode, which is going to come out next July. So we've got Photon of Scoop X. We've Chibi Akamus doing assembly code training. All sorts of stuff coming up. Incredible. It's an offer to get your teeth into. So, episode 1 of Amiga Action, April 1995, is a game that wasn't released on the Amiga. So, Elite Plus, even though it's got a score of 86%, never came out on this version, never came out on the Amiga. Elite Plus was just an update to the DOS version to include VGA and other graphic modes. And there is an Elite Advanced, but that didn't come out till a decade later. So here's a game that's been reviewed that doesn't exist. So this is number 1. I'm going to play episode 1. I'm going to play every version of Elite that I can find. And the goal, simply for Elite 1, as I call it from now on, the goal for Elite 1 is simply to land on Zaonce, on the satellite or space station. So episode 2 will be Frontier Elite 2. I find it a lot easier to play because I played it back in the day. So revisiting Elite 2 is not a big deal at all. Episode 3 will be this, another game in an Amiga magazine that only came out on DOS and Windows probably. I have no idea, we'll find out later. And episode 4 of the Amiga Action April 95 will be Elite Dangerous. I've bought it 3 years ago, and I'm basically, the thing is, I'm learning to play all 4 Elite games all at the same time. Elite 2, not so much because I already know it. So it's just a progress. This is going to be a progress of learning to play games. This isn't about magazine reviews. This is more about learning to play these games after, 95, 2005, 2015, nearly 30 years later. So if this came out on an Amiga, it would probably be a A4000 with a 68060. Anyway, so episode 1, Elite, the original. So I began this journey with the easiest version of Elite, the NES version, which is basically just a space shooter with a bit of trading shoved in. This is what EMI wanted in the first place. The game starts with you having to shoot down 3 ships before you can land, so that's how I learned to play Elite. And after 1 week, here is me crashing into the Zeon's space station, not knowing what the hell it was, even though I watched Zorzo land on it many a time on the BBC 128. But watching YouTube videos and playing the game don't connect with my brain for some reason. And here is me finally, after 2 weeks, finally landing on the space station at Zeon's. But the camera froze, so the camera was so excited that it just locked up. And I've had to rewire my USB leads a number of times to stop the webcam from freezing. No point plugging it into a port. It just has to be plugged straight into the computer. Obviously, I knew that, but I like fiddling and mucking things up. Bye. Okay, so the music for this episode, I am working on an episode for July, See You Amiga, July 1992, and I didn't know anything about Steve Packer. I forgot his name completely when it comes to the make your own demos part of that episode, so I looked up extra dying and came across a whole bunch of videos. As the Amiga magazines are far more accessible to me now than there was back in the day, living on the other side of the world. I didn't know that subscriber discs existed. I didn't know that there were VHS tapes on how to use Music X or Deluxe Paint, and they're all on YouTube. So I'm having more fun with the Amiga now than I did back in the 90s, because my mental health is obviously a million times better. So I've become aware that Steve Packer was part of the Nightbreed group, and so I found all these songs which I'll be using for the episode, and I don't know what Star Trekker is yet, so... Oh, it looks like Pro Trekker. Okay. Well, I'll load up Star Trekker, see what it's like, if it's any better or worse than Pro Trekker, knowing that I'm only good with Optimed. I don't know any of the others. So anyway, this whole thing started with me looking for a cheat code for Elite, and I came across this trainer, 40 different, and that's one I'm using now, Endless Piracy. I was using Docking Computer and Unlimited Shields while I was learning to play it properly, and of course I come across a whole new world, all these groups such as Alpha Flight, with all these trainers and cracktros and so much more than I've ever known about. It's more fun for me than it was back in the day, because you read an advertisement in black and white, like a PD disc, such and such, send in £1 and a stamped self-addressed envelope, and we'll send you a disc and stuff. So I was out of all that because I live on the other side of the world, and now it's my journey in life to hunt down the demos, the PD demos that are scattered throughout the magazines, and see if I can get copies of them somehow using modern technology. Sweet.